Had you asked me when I was 16 whether I thought I'd still be racing at 29, my answer probably wouldn't have been yes. I have passion for this. This is, you know, it makes me tick. It makes me, this is what I want to do. And that's when I really decided that, and that was 7 years ago.
It's Labor Day weekend at London, Ontario's Delaware Speedway, home of the Cascar season finale. Competitors drive hard all year in hopes of getting a crack at the prize money and the glory. Kelly Williams is the first successful female racer in the elite Super Series circuit. Along with the highs of going fast and placing in the top 10 are the lows of making ends meet financially. The season capper is Kelly's last chance to bring new sponsors on board for next season.
Well, my goals for this weekend are to make the show for one, which we're going to do today, and then also tomorrow to run well and have a top 10 finish for the end of the season. Well, if you want to have the show and you want to have a competitive team, you need to have the money. You can't, it's not like another sport where you can get by just based on ability. You know, you need to have the equipment behind you, which means you need to have the money behind you. It's probably one of the more important things of the whole thing. I mean, you love to race, but you don't want to do it if you can't do it right.
Kelly Williams has proven herself with the fans, but the pressure to perform race after race is intense.
This year has been the exception because it's been the first year that I haven't run the full season. I mean, if I could win a race, that would be great, but that wasn't what I needed to do. What I needed to do this year was to just be able to stay out there in like 7 races and keep my face out there and have some good showing. So if I can pull off a top 10, I'll be happy with that because I didn't have the money behind me to put in the effort that I needed to pull off, in my opinion, a top 5 finish. My plan is to secure funding for next year. Hopefully I'll be able to put a primary sponsor in place and some associate funding and be able to come back and be right back on top like I was for the past 6 years. And if I have to do another year like this, I probably won't race because I won't put myself through what I've gone through this year and do it like this. It's not fun.
You've got everything. You've got everything it takes. You've got the balls, you've got the nerve, you've got the guts. Kick ass. Because you did for the first half of the race, and then some spun you out or did something to do it backwards.
Okay.
For me.
Okay. You know, Sunday morning, 9 o'clock, and we just pushed the car through tech. And now all we can do is clean the car. It's on the grid and waiting for the race to start at 2:15. But in between that, we'll have like a tire rolling contest and the autograph session and drivers meeting, crew chief meeting, all that sort of stuff. So it's a busy day.
The feature race of the day is the Super Series 300. The first driver to finish 300 laps wins. Fans love to meet the racers, pose for pictures, and get autographs. Kelly Williams is consistently one of the most popular drivers.
There.
Thank you.
You're welcome. How are you?
She's one of your big fans.
Oh, okay. So you're cheering for me, right?
Okay, tell her your name.
Jackie.
Jacqu.
Thank you for telling me that, so then I don't mess it up.
Okay. Do you want her to sign your shirt?
Okay, I got a marker.
Is that a permanent one?
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go.
Yay. It's gonna fade though with wash. So you'll never
Don't
be able to
fade.
wash it.
This one, she's got one of your t-shirts.
Okay.
That's she's never worn it since she signed it.
Oh, really?
It hangs in her room.
Jeez, I'm gonna do some new ones. Oh,
Yeah.
thanks. I'm gonna do some new ones next year, so you'll be able to get it then. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Bye. You know, I enjoy it. I mean, the fans are what make this sport what it is. So if you're not willing to interact with them, then you probably shouldn't be doing this because it is very much a fan sport. So, you know, for me, I like it.
Are you ready for today?
Oui.
Oui.
Je suis prêt.
Bunch house, good luck.
Well, I mean, you always have to have a little bit of racing luck on your side as well. You're not always just, it's not just going to be based on ability, having the best car. Sometimes the pieces just need to fall into place for you to win that race as well.
John Williams is Kelly's devoted dad. He shares a love of racing, but has always favored the pit over the driver's seat.
I've always been with Kelly ever since she got her driver's license, because I couldn't train her to drive. She wouldn't allow that. She had to go through the driving school because I'm not a very patient person. So I never showed her how to race because I've never done it myself. I took her car out twice. I spun out both times. So I said, you do it. I'll fix them. You do it. So.
He knows it's a dangerous and physically demanding sport. He's protective and still gets nervous watching his daughter race.
I do all the tires, and then during pit stops, I'm jackman. They say I don't deal very well. I'm a pacer. I'm a chain smoker. I don't deal very well. They won't let me have the radios. And I won't say why. So I stand back and ask them, and they won't tell me what's going on, so I just stay back there and smoke my cigarettes.
Super Series drivers are rivals for sponsorship, media attention, and fan support. For Kelly, there are both costs and benefits to being female.
You know, amongst the positive things that I bring are the fact that being the only woman racing gives me an elevated amount of exposure from a crowd perspective and a media perspective as well. You know, there are definitely obstacles with being the only woman. It's gotten a lot better, but there are still, you know, there's still a couple of drivers that don't think that women should be out racing with them. They would never admit to it, but, you know, you can tell just by the way they react to you when you come up beside them on the track or, you know, whatever.
Hey, go, 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 we're gonna do.
The Super Series circuit is a high-stakes, tough guy fraternity. To earn her spot, Kelly had to endure some tense situations.
I remember one track that we used to run at that they took turns spinning her out. And I had to actually step in and make a physical part to be able to stop it, because they weren't allowing her to run to what she could at the time. So, but no, that's not like that anymore. She has a really good relationship with all the other drivers.
Into going into turn 3, and then you're not keeping your line coming off, so you're getting really loose coming off. Okay, keep on your line going in.
To a certain extent, you need to think yourself through the race. With it being so long, you can't drive like it's a 30-lap race and it's 300. You're processing it so fast. Like if somebody were to say something to me, oh, do you remember doing that at the start of the race? Like, are you kidding? I forgot that 300 laps ago. I mean, I don't remember. You're just dealing with it right at the moment.
After more than 100 laps, Kelly is in 5th position, but just before her first pit stop, another car collides with hers.
Actually, it was going really well. We got into each other coming into turn 3. You know, he went in really hard, number 25 car. And he slid up into me, and then going down the front straightaway, tried to squeeze me into the wall. And then we went into turn 1, and he just basically turned the car hard right, which sent me straight into the wall. And I hit really hard, and it's all bent. And so he destroyed my car pretty good. I'm really disappointed that I had to have a car take me out of the race so early on when we had a very good car. You know, we had started 30th and we were up to, I know we were in the top 10, I think we were 9th or 10th. And, you know, we still had halfway to go and the car was great.
The crew works fast to fix the damage and see if they can get her back on the track.
I'm very frustrated, but if anyone was going to do it to me, it doesn't surprise me that it was him. He's a driver that, I just have a lot of troubles with on the racetrack. We're the same age. There's in my opinion, there's a lot of jealousy there. We have the same engine builder, and we just don't like each other. I'm just going to ignore him. He's not worth dealing with. There's no point saying anything to him because it's not going to do any good. It's just a waste of time.
It's bent.
I hit hard.
It's bent. Here.
Yeah, oh yeah, you can see it right there. You can see the bend.
The frame is bent, the car's not safe to drive. Kelly's race is over. It's one thing to lose a race to the clock and quite another to get taken out by another driver.
Racing's a lot of highs and lows. It's a lot of peaks and valleys, and you get hooked on it. It's like a drug. You get hooked on having that. And so it's like if you don't have the peaks and valleys, you're like, wow, I feel really boring. I'm not doing anything. I'm just kind of even keel. So I think that's what drives you back. I mean, throughout a weekend, you can be on top of the world and you can be crashed on the bottom the next day. Or it's the love of the competition, just everything.
Kelly is devastated, but all is not lost. She's done well enough to gain the interest and support of new sponsors. She'll be back to race again next year. Even the ravaged bumper is salvaged. A devoted fan has Kelly autograph it, and he walks away with the souvenir of a lifetime.
I had a store that had, it was a vintage clothing store, and it had a lot of leftover rhinestones and brooches. So I just had an impulse one day and I started gluing them on the corner of my car. I don't know, it was just an impulse, crazy impulses.
To drive an art car is to drive a dream. Like gypsy caravans or hippie love bugs before them, art cars express the individuality and creative ingenuity of their drivers. Entertaining and eye-popping, they flaunt their free-thinking approach to ownership. Decorate now, worry about resale later.
Well, I do clothing. I made my outfit. And I do all kinds of things. Like I've encrusted hats and motorcycles and I just like to decorate things. I mean, I started on the inside because I was afraid to do the outside, and it wasn't until I went to Texas and I found an art car garage. And when I saw all these art cars and that they were totally encrusted, I thought, well, wow, now I can do my car like you're allowed to. So I came home and I started decorating the outside.
I decided to paint it because, well, being an artist, I can't help myself. And I figured, what better way to promote myself as an artist than to paint my car? And I thought of this image in a dream one night, and I just put it together, and I just set about it in a weekend. And I went around and I got some paint from local body shops that had old car paint, and I got it all donated, and some other spray pans and some other acrylics that I had, and I just went to it and created my art car.
I just felt like I had to. I wanted to, and I was just going to do it. Just had to do it. Because I had this idea and I wanted to see what it would really be like. And it was really scary the first little few brushes of paint. It was like, oh no, I've started, and it's just, yeah.
I'm a colorist, I'm an artist, and I love color. And I think that's an area that town planners and architects have missed a lot. The opportunity to use more color in the world, and the mood that it. Well, you can see the mood that it puts people in when they see me. Only the occasional person, and this is what I love too, the occasional guy mostly will go, "What? What would possess somebody to do that to a car?" And they just shake their head and they just don't get it, you know.
I love it. It's like driving a parade car all the time. I get notes put onto the windshield saying, "I love your car, it makes people smile." And I'm like, that's the theme of an art car. That's the whole image you want to do, is to brighten people's day with happiness.
It's such a fun car, and a lot of times people see it and they kill themselves laughing, and I get a lot of, high fives and thumbs up, and it makes people happy a lot of times, and people want to talk to me, and I don't mind talking to people, that's okay. Otherwise, you can't drive a car like that and not expect people to talk to you. So if you're really not in the mood to talk to someone, you shouldn't drive the car. Like some days I just don't feel like driving the car, so I don't.
Mostly people laugh, and that makes me laugh too. Sometimes I'll get up and get in my car and go somewhere and I'm really not in the mood to be friendly or anything else, and then people start going, "Oh, look," and so you have to respond. "Oh yeah, hi." Yes, that's right. Yes, it is pretty silly, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. This was one of the hesitations I had was, oh, if I do this, what if I'm not in a good mood? And people are like, scowl at them. But it hasn't been that way. I haven't been sorry that I've done this at all. It's been really, really a lot of fun. And, even times when I haven't particularly, been in a good mood or something, then the smile from someone else will put me in a good mood. It's terrific that way.
Some people really hate it. A woman the other day screamed at me. She was in a 3-piece suit and she screamed at me, "That's the ugliest piece of shit I have ever seen in my life." Are you allowed to say shit? Okay. "That's the ugliest piece of shit I have ever seen in my life." And I said, "What is your damage? Like, have you lost your sense of humor?"
A lot of people treat their car as their status symbol, right? Like, don't put a smudge on it. Don't touch my car, right? Well, mine's a status symbol too, but in a different way. Yeah. Again, I guess it's just telling people to lighten up a bit, Don't take themselves so seriously.
The car will never be done. It's never enough. It's constantly changing. I don't know if you noticed, but like the bowling trophies in the front have gone from a gold silver to like an opalescent opal. And so you leave it and you let it go through its transformation, or you rip it off and you replace it, But I kind of like the way it's constantly changing. It's just evolving.
What was intensive were the centers. There's several different sizes and shapes and shades of sequins, and several different colored plastic beads and some glass beads, and there's broken taillight lenses and things like that. And every one of them is different from every other as well. And some of them even have rocks, stones.
I think every art car pretty much is a work in progress, because we're always thinking of things to add to it, or inspired by something, or touching up, as the weather comes down, or things get removed by mistake, perhaps. Yeah, I think it's always a work in progress with every art car, for sure.
I've spruced it up with Brighton, put some fresh flowers on it. But even when I think it's not, I think it's kind of scruffy looking now, because a lot of things have been pulled off and fallen off. People still love it, so I don't know when it's finished. I think it's finished.
The car? Is the car art? Yeah, of course. Why not? I think it should be on display as a permanent piece of art, or just, buried into the ground, and then when I die, bury myself in the car. But that's kind of morbid. I don't want to think about that.
Okay, Darcy. All right, bye. BCTV! Woo! night. You have to introduce yourself to everybody because I've just lost my brain.
I'm Larry too.
Is everybody getting coffee and muffins? How many times have I said that yet? I yelled that out enough. I'm not gonna be late again.
When we come back, great cars and even greater karma at the Art Car Festival.
But, oh yeah, definitely. It's fun. If it wasn't fun, I wouldn't do it at all.
Meanwhile, back at the paint pit, the boys are consulting their muse for this art car transformation. Unfortunately, their muse comes in a can and is sold by the dozen. An old van was also donated to the festival, and the general public was invited to add their own personal je ne sais quoi.
It's art, and it's mobile art, so I was really excited. And so I thought, I'd been sort of thinking of even painting my car because I'm an artist, a folk artist, but I kept hearing my mother's voice saying, it's, with the resale value, nobody's ever gonna want to buy your van again. And I thought, oh, what the heck, right? But I think most of it is going to be, paintings of moons and stars and flying people, and then of course the bottle caps and the glitter. And I think I'm going to do some wings on it. I'm going to find out how to do fiberglass. I'm going to put some wings on it. And so I wanted to keep building it, right? I'm talking to some people here. Sometimes they took several months, a year, or whatever. But I think, things will fall off. I'll put new things on, or I'll all of a sudden get bored of something, and maybe I'll rip it off, put on something new, right? So I want it to be like a work in progress, just like the journey. So to me, that would be representational of what I'm all about following my bliss and just flying, going for it, right? Not being afraid. It's like you're on the edge of a cliff, and you're not happy with what's behind you, but you're a little bit afraid to jump because you don't know what's in the abyss, eh? And so you just jump off, and then you develop your wings as you're falling, right? So you just have to take that chance. And it's just another means of expressing yourself. And I think that's wonderful. When we can tap into that creative spirit, no matter who we are or what we do, then it makes us much happier people, and I think the world will be a happier place.
my friends that didn't have bikes, they didn't understand what the experience gives you. And they'd see it, they go, oh, that's kind of neat, but they had no idea, they had no idea. It was trying to explain the third dimension to somebody who only lives in 2 dimensions. They just can't even comprehend.
Nobody just rides a motorcycle. They love their motorcycle. Fetish object, getaway vehicle, trusty steed. Motorcycles are charismatic and deeply symbolic objects. They're a risky and often impractical means of getting from one point to another. What's more, women have been stigmatized for straddling them. But these ladies will tell you that none of that matters. Riding a motorcycle is about testing your limits, feeling the road underneath you, and taking the scenic route to a higher consciousness.
It started a long time ago when I was a little kid, and I used to ride my bicycle through the bush, really bush riding before it was ever called motocross, and with all these guys, we just ride. And I thought, oh my God, it would be amazing to do this with a motor, to have a bike with a motor.
Actually, my apartment was in a fire, and I lost a lot of things, but I also gained the fear of not doing what I wanted to do. And well, this is bad. Well, I took the money that the insurance gave me, and I bought a motorcycle and took lessons and everything. Yeah. I hope they're not watching. No. Yeah. Yeah, when I saw the bike, there was no second choice.
I worked all summer, and I actually snuck into the shop and paid down payments because my dad, I kind of mentioned it, and my dad was like, now you're going to kill yourself and stuff like that. So I just kept making payments every summer, and then near the end of the summer, I finally paid it off, and then I just brought it home and, pretended like it was always there or something.
One day my girlfriend came up and said, we've got a small bonus from work. Let's take motorcycle lessons. My girlfriend gave up after a few hours. It just wasn't for her. And I toughed it through. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I remember one of the lessons, my girlfriend dropped out after the first day, but I kept just gritting my teeth and going back. And I remember riding the little training bike by the instructor yelling, you promised it would be fun. When does it get to be fun? And it was a long time before it was fun.
I came around a corner a little too fast.
Ooh, and I'm whining because my knees hurt. But it really was. It was a wonderful feeling of camaraderie that we were truly doing something to make a difference.
Riding down a road, it's a perfect day, the sun is above you so you don't have big shadow. It's blue sky with just a few clouds to make you appreciate the blue. You go by, you smell water, fresh water, then you smell a field of flowers, then you smell cedar trees, uncut cedar trees, and you get off the bike and you have a cup of coffee and a piece of pie and hope. It's amazing.
I think in a car it's like looking at life through a TV screen. You've got this big 6-foot wide windscreen in front of you, and you're not really part of the picture. It's climate controlled. You can close the windows, turn on the radio. There's a higher degree of comfort. You're not really part of the picture. Whereas on a motorcycle, you're part of the weather. You're part of whatever smells are happening. You're definitely part of the elements, and you just get to experience that at a much more sensual level.
After a party one night, we left to ride one girl home. She lived further away from us. And we stopped at her house, but it was such a beautiful night, we didn't want to stop riding. So we ended up in Portage La Prairie and then drove back at 2:30 in the morning. And it was a beautiful night. And those are that I remember that like it was yesterday. That's one of my greatest memories is that and no plans, just doing it. That's the rush.
That higher sense of something above the world. I don't know. It's kind of like it's like total freedom, total self, because especially as a woman, I mean, you're always caregiving and all that stuff, and you always have to be accessible, whereas on the bike, it's like you're totally by yourself. You're totally in control of your environment. So I don't think I'll ever give it up. Knock on wood.
Holds all the appeal of dental surgery. Not so for the rare breed of female mechanics. They're at home under a hoist, solving the puzzle and keeping us on the road.
I can always remember my mom constantly telling me to wash my hands, wash my hands. They're always dirty, and use the fingernail brush because there's dirt underneath your nails. And when I was working in an office job, my hands were always clean, my nails were always manicured, they were always clean. And now at the garage, my hands are dirty again, and I get home and I squish the suds through my fingers and I see dirt. I feel like I'm actually working.
One of the reasons I got into this business a long time ago is when I first bought my Scrambler, and it was a bit of a rough car. When I took it to places to have work done to it, I'd come home disappointed, and I'd think, why is it that I'm paying these people like all this money, and I could have done a better job myself? And I would be disappointed with the work that I got, and just totally disappointed with it. So I'd come home and go, I'm not bringing my car to anybody else. I'm going to do this myself. And then once I started doing the work myself, other people that would come into the shop would look at it and go, wow, that's really good. Can you do some of that for me? And eventually it came to the point where this is what I'm doing all the time.
It was never my goal to be a mechanic. All I wanted to do was get in my car and drive and go where I needed to go. When I owned this British car, the Triumph Spitfire Mark V, I never realized how much of a headache it was going to be. I would go into the garage. Every time I came out, there was no such thing as, oh yeah, thank you. It was $200, $400, $700, $900. I had this one particular part. It was only $1.98, and I ended up paying at the dealership over $900 for this part. I went back to the dealership and I said, okay, there's something wrong here. How could one garage say this and you're telling me $900 plus tax? Oh, well, they don't understand. They don't, can't appreciate the value of these cars, and they're very special cars. And I said, okay. Ended up going to court. Went to court, went to the judge, and I said, look at this, and he said, right. The dealership not only paid me back for my repairs, paid me back for all the repairs on my vehicles, educated me for a year. That's how I became to be a mechanic.
I always had the idea of starting my own garage. Garage said it's non-intimidating car service.
When I was younger, I've worked with several mechanics in different cars, often very old cars, in maintaining them and upgrading them, sometimes hot rodding them when it comes to that. And it was a collaborative process. And our relationship was based upon a mutual respect of skills and a mutual respect of the information we'd each bring and our wishes. I'm transgendered, and that was when I was a man. And I had a cold awakening when I started dealing even with the same mechanics in some cases as a woman.
Coming up, a revealing look at being the girl in the garage.
It's all a labor of love. It's not your typical go to work and spend 8 hours there. This is different. You're spending hours doing something you really love, so you take your time. And I don't know where it comes from, but I'm the type of person that likes to take something that's really unique and rare and resurrect it from the dead and save it. I gotta save everything, gotta restore everything, and then I gotta hot rod everything. Hot rod everything I get my hands on. Everything should be high performance.
I have a long distance, or I should say a toll-free line for the company's called McCann Chick.